Before you believe the latest Manchester United headlines, there's something you need to know. Because one deal is much further along than people think, another could collapse at any moment. And the biggest update of the day isn't the one everyone's talking about. Stay with me. And by the end of this video, you'll also know exactly why Rashford just had a deadline placed over his head. August 9th. Circle that date. This is Red Break. Let's start with the deal that's already done. Andrey Santos to Manchester United. Here we go. You already know this one. It's been all over your timeline for the last few days. But here's what's changed since then. The medical is now booked. Next 24 hours. That's not speculation anymore. That's a formality before ink hits paper. £50 million plus a 10% sell-on clause for Chelsea. Think about that number for a second. Chelsea signed this kid for peanuts, developed him, loaned him out, and now United are paying full premium for a player people inside Chelsea didn't even want to sell. Contract length until June 2031. That's not a squad depth signing, that's a statement. United are telling you who their midfield is being built around for the next 6 years. And who's confirming all this? Not some random leak account. David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano. When those two names are both saying the same thing at the same time, you stop asking if and start asking when. Here's the part fans are sleeping on though. United don't just want Santos, they want another midfielder alongside him. Not instead of, alongside. Two names, two medicals, same week. That's how serious this rebuild actually is. Internally, United are thrilled. Sources close to the move say the club genuinely believe Chelsea would knock this back completely. Santos has one of the highest ceilings at Cobham. Nobody at Stamford Bridge expected him to be let go for just 50 million. But he was, and United pounced. Now think about what this actually means for the engine room. A young, aggressive, ball-winning midfielder walking straight into a squad that's been crying out for exactly that profile. Fans have been asking for energy in midfield for 2 seasons. This is the club finally answering. And the timing matters too. Booking a medical this early in the window sends a message to every other club still negotiating with United this summer. It says, we move fast when we're convinced. That's a different energy to the United of the last few windows. Now let's talk about the second name, because this one's been quieter, but it might actually be more important. Ederson, the Atalanta midfielder, and his move to Old Trafford has been all set for over a month now. 45 million euros agreed. Sounds simple, right? It's not, because United want guarantees before they sign off. That word matters, guarantees. In transfer language, that usually means fitness concerns, medical red flags, something the club needs triple checked before 45 million euros leaves the building. The second part of his medical is happening this week in England, not Italy. England. That alone tells you United want their own people, their own doctors, their own eyes on this before they commit fully. Think about how unusual that is. A deal being all set for a month and still not signed. That's not cold feet, that's due diligence. United have been burned before by rushing medicals through and dealing with fitness issues 6 months later. This time, they're taking no chances. So picture it. 2 midfielders, 2 medicals, same week. If both go through clean, United will have completely reshaped their engine room before pre-season even properly kicks off. 2 names, 2 different leagues, 2 completely different profiles, but the same goal. Control the midfield, dominate the ball, stop being run over in big games. But here's the story that's going to frustrate half of you. Aurélien Tchouaméni. You've heard his name linked to United more times than you can count. Every window, every rumour cycle. Fans building entire dream X's around him. Well, that chapter just closed. Tchouaméni has signed a new deal at Real Madrid until June 2031. Lawyers have already approved every term. Let that sink in. While United were finalising Santos and chasing Ederson, Madrid were quietly locking down the exact player half of United's fan base wanted as the marquee midfield signing. And here's why it never had a chance. Jose Mourinho, yes, that Mourinho, now working at Madrid, was reportedly clear internally that he wanted both Tchouaméni and Valverde staying put. Fabrice Hawkins and Pepe Alvarez both reported the same thing from different angles. When two separate reliable voices land on the same conclusion, you know it's real. The truth United fans need to hear? This deal was never close. Not because United didn't try, but because of the salary Tchouaméni commands and because Madrid simply never opened the door. Some players you don't lose in negotiation. You lose because the door was locked before you even knocked. Here's what stings the most about this one though. Tchouaméni was the profile United fans wanted for years. A ball-playing six, physically dominant, tactically disciplined. And now he's locked in at the Bernabeu until 2031. That's a name you can officially stop hoping for. So if not Tchouaméni, who else is actually wanting to come? This next one might surprise you. Carlos Baleba. According to Fabrizio Romano, Baleba wants this move. Not United wanting him wanting United. There's a difference, and it changes everything about how a transfer actually plays out. Romano's reporting is specific. Baleba is keen to play under Michael Carrick. Not just move to a big club, play for this manager specifically. That's the kind of detail that tells you this isn't just noise from an agent trying to force a move. Now here's where it gets messy. Rewind to last summer, United actually held talks for Baleba. The Athletic reported personal terms were agreed between player and club. Baleba wanted the move even then. United approached Brighton and Brighton said no. Not for less than £100 million. Ineos walked away from the table. 100 million for a midfielder who hadn't even established himself as a guaranteed nailed-on starter at that point. United weren't paying that. Nobody would. But listen to this. Brighton have quietly dropped their price. Graham Bailey now reports the valuation sits around £70 million. That's a £30 million swing from last summer's asking price to now. Other reports put the current range between 70 and 80 million. Ben Jacobs adds more context here too. He says United are actually in a strong position for Baleba, purely because of the groundwork already laid last summer. Personal terms discussed back then are still roughly in place. Baleba wants United. That part hasn't changed one bit in 12 months. So why haven't United pulled the trigger yet? Because right now, sources suggest the club would actually prefer Alex Scott or a repeat approach for Tchouaméni over Baleba if given the total free choice. Except we just told you Tchouaméni's gone, off the board, signed, which means Baleba's stock inside Old Trafford's boardroom just went up by default. Currently, United are aware Baleba wants the move, but there's been no fresh approach, no new proposal sent to Brighton. That's the honest state of play. Interest confirmed, price dropping, player willing, but no formal move yet. Watch this one closely, because if Santos and Ederson both pass their medicals this week, Baleba could be the third name added to this midfield rebuild before the window even hits its midpoint. And with the price now sitting closer to 70 million than 100, this suddenly looks a lot more realistic than it did 12 months ago. Now, one more story, and this one's not about who's coming in. Marcus Rashford. United have set an August 9th deadline, a hard deadline, to either arrange a permanent transfer or send him back out on loan. Why the urgency? Barcelona made their decision. They chose not to trigger his £26 million option to buy. Read between the lines there. Barcelona had him for a full season. They liked what they saw enough to loan him in the first place. But when it came time to make it permanent, they passed. That's a big statement from a club that doesn't make emotional decisions with transfer fees. If no buyer steps forward before that deadline, Rashford is expected to rejoin the United squad under Michael Carrick. The same manager Baleba reportedly wants to play for. Think about that irony for a second. One player heading toward a forced homecoming he probably doesn't want. Another player actively campaigning to join the exact same environment. Football works in strange circles like that. So here's where United actually stand when you strip away all the noise. Santos, medical booked, virtually done. Ederson, guarantees pending, second medical this week. Tchouaméni, gone, signed elsewhere, chapter officially closed. Baleba, willing, price dropping fast. No formal move yet, but the door is wide open. And Rashford, a ticking clock heading toward August, with his United future hanging entirely on whether a buyer shows up in the next few weeks. This isn't a squad getting tweaked. This is a full midfield rebuild happening in real time, with names falling into place and names falling away, all within the same few weeks. 2 signings basically confirmed, 1 target lost for good, 1 realistic opportunity opening back up, and 1 homegrown academy product staring down a deadline that could define the rest of his United career. Zoom out for a second and look at the pattern here. United aren't chasing reputation anymore. They're not throwing money at the biggest name available just to make a splash. Santos, young and hungry. Ederson, proven in Serie A, but still needing to prove it in England. Baleba, a player who wants to be there, who's chosen United over sitting comfortably somewhere else. That's a different recruitment philosophy to the one that's burned this club for the better part of a decade. Compare that to how the Tchouaméni chase actually played out. Big name, big wages, big reputation, and ultimately a deal that was never realistically close. The lesson there is obvious if you're being honest with yourself. Chasing the biggest name on paper doesn't always get you the best midfield. Sometimes it just gets you a headline that never turns into a signing. But what do you think? Is this midfield actually taking shape the right way? Would Baleba be a smarter signing than chasing another Tchouaméni type name? And should United actually welcome Rashford back if nobody meets that August deadline? Let me know below. I'll see you on the next video.